Confirms. In every game, there are the fundamentals, dribbling in soccer, shuffling in melee, and in Mario Strikers Charged, they are called confirms. Or at least that's what I am going to be calling them. Hi internet, Ark speaking, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the first video of Mario Strikers Charged. First things first, what is a confirm? A confirm is a setup that as long as no one gets in your way, the ball will always score. Critter, which is the goalie, is programmed to do certain things in certain ways, and by abusing certain positions and setups, you could guarantee the ball to go in every single time. Now I'm gonna go in depth a little bit more about characters in another video, but for now, all you'll want to know is you want to be practicing and using boos, specifically boos, for all of these tricks. So now for the first step, you're going to need to be comfortable with a game mechanic known as chipping, which is where most of the depth of the game actually comes from. Oh hey there, I figured it'd be easier to explain the Z-chip timing by actually showing you instead of just talking about it. So basically, the longer you hold down the Z button, so if I just punt it here, it kind of skids across the floor. But then if I hold it for a really long time and release it, you see how high it flies. So basically, the longer you hold down the Z button, the more you charge it. It's actually a range, so the more or less you hold it, the higher or lower it will go. But when explaining, it helps to split them into 4 different levels. So level 1 is when you just tap it across the floor and it kind of skids. It's very easy to do, you just click it. A level 2 is the one that goes at head height. Now, Boo is a little bit short, so it's kind of hard to tell. That was a level 2 right there. By the way, the level 2 is the most useless level to use. It's literally just a variant of level 1. Now, level 3 is the one that goes above your head. This is probably the most useful one. That's a little bit too high. Let's see if I can get it again. That was good. So that was a good level 3. Now, level 3 is actually quite a big range. So sometimes for certain tricks, you actually want to shoot for the top end of the level 3. Like, for instance, if you're trying to do a Titan's kick, or you're trying to do a self-pass like that, and you want to shoot for, like, the lower end when you're trying to do, like, a serve it up like this. And obviously, the level 4 is the full charge when you just hold it down all the way. Alright, now that all the boring stuff is out of the way, let's go over to our first setup. This is known as the Belgium Waffle, and it is, in my opinion, one of the easiest tricks to do. Using Boo, we're gonna charge a level 4 Z-chip, which is a fully charged chip. Next, we're gonna ride the edge of the wall, either on the top or the bottom, and release the chip right before you enter the edge of the goal box. Now, with a speed character, you're gonna chase the ball all the way around the perimeter, and right as Critter is about to nab it, you're gonna pass it to a teammate and kick it in. Here's what it looks like at full speed. Now, one of my boos actually gets in the way of this clip, but normally you just kick it straight in. Now, the Belgian Waffle is easy because you don't really need to be too precise, but if you want to know the easiest trick purely off the fact you press the least amount of buttons, we're gonna change our attention to the second confirm. The serve in is a quick little chip that just flies right over the goalie's head when done properly. You first start by going down and riding straight along the chalk line. Keep in mind, not every map has a chalk line, so you might have to estimate. Then as soon as you approach the goal box, you're gonna go 45 into the corner, and that entire duration when you're going 45, you're gonna charge a level 3 chip. Now I have to mention that the serve in is technically doable from the top and just running straight at the goal, but it's recommended to practice doing it from the bottom because the bottom is the most consistent and it's also the most lenient. A great way to troubleshoot if you're doing the serve it up too early or too late is if the critter catches the ball, you're probably not kicking it high enough. And if the ball hits the top of the goalpost, that normally means you held it for a little too long. Also, I feel like this is a bit obvious, but sometimes it helps to start a little under the chalk line because it'll give you a little bit more room to play with. Alright, now that you're comfortable doing the serve it in, we're now going to learn a variant of that called the serve it up. Now you're still going to do a 45-degree level 3 chip. However, this time, instead of aiming for the goal, you're going to be aiming up against the wall. And once you bounce it up against the wall, you're going to wrap around the critter and kick it in. The nice thing about this variant is you could do it from both the top or the bottom. Plus, in tight situations as a beginner, it's a lot more lenient to do compared to the serve it in. A very important piece of advice that I'd recommend is in the beginning, you're going to have to intentionally tell your brain you have to run around the critter. You will not believe how many times I just ran straight into the critter and wouldn't be able to get the rebound because critter would swat my boo away. Run around the critter. Also, if you were like me and got confused which one's which, the serve it up, you serve it up to the wall. The serve it in, you serve it into the goal. It's a nice little A is for apples kind of thing. Now, this may sound weird, but if these confirms are Pokemon, the serve it in is a Pichu. The serve it up is a Pikachu. Now, what is the final evolution of this Pokemon? It's something called a Titan's chip. What? Okay, so the analogy falls apart a bit. But if you've ever watched a competitive high-level game, this is the confirm that professionals go for. To do a Titan's chip, you're gonna start by running straight down the edge of the goalie box. Then charge a high level 3, then release it right as you enter the goalie box. Then you're going to rebound and kick it over the goalie's shoulder. Now, personally, I find this trick very difficult, as I'm also one of the newer players. I just started playing about a week ago. However, I did notice if you are too close inside of the goalie box, it oftentimes would hit a post. And if you're too far out, then oftentimes the goalie will catch it. So if you are struggling with this specific trick, I actually recommend learning this trick with Mario, because for some odd reason, Mario's my main captain and I find it way easier to do the trick with him, especially when he's in his altered form. Alright, on to the last confirm. Now the Belgium Waffle taught us about basic critter manipulation. The trio of the serve it up, the serve it in, and the Titan's kick shows us a faulty design in the fact that critter is not designed to jump or dive at Z hits or chips, which is why all these tricks are possible. Now this last confirm teaches us something completely different, which is, for the lack of a better term, CPU manipulation. You see, when you stand in certain spots, the CPUs will try to form a certain formation. So for instance, when your critter has the ball, your CPUs are going to create a triangle, with your fourth teammate being either on the top or the bottom depending on where he originally was. And when you're on the field, your CPUs are going to try to create a square. Knowing this, we could take a character with low shooting power all the way down to the bottom, where your CPUs are automatically going to create a sort of a diamond. This is called the quick pick, and ideally you want the starting character to be a weak shooter, the second character to be a good passer, and the third character to be some sort of a power type. First start by pressing the B button, so you're taking a shot, then you're going to intercept that ball by pressing A, and then pressing A again. One to switch characters, and one to pass the ball. And then you're just gonna hit it in. This is the only trick I recommend playing the game before you practice. You need to be comfortable with how the CPU reacts to you. Otherwise, the CPUs are never going to be where you want them to be. And when you're like that, it's very difficult to practice this specific trick. Alright, now for a few things that I couldn't fit anywhere else in the video, be sure to practice on both sides, both home and away. As well as the fact that a lot of these tricks have like mid-speed variants. Like for instance, if you're using Mario to do the Belgium Waffle, you're gonna have to cut across instead of wrap around the corner, because Mario is a mid-weight, he's not quite fast enough. Also, I know that I'm missing a few item confirms, like for instance the shroom that I showed at the beginning of the video. I just want you to all know that I'm fairly new to this game. I've only been playing the game for about a week, and so far I have played 2 tournament matches. That is my entire competitive history. So anyway, be sure to do all the YouTube stuff like commenting and subscribing. If you're wondering what this is, I have an eye problem. It's a medical issue. Don't worry about it. I'll see you guys all later, alright? Peace out. Thanks for watching.